right, here we are with our pat benday pattern, which is a seamless pattern if you do that right. And we want to be able to have it be in color so we can have color benday dots. So the first thing I want you to do is realize how to make a pattern. So if you're in Photoshop and you pull down Edit to Define Pattern, that will take you to this, which will name your pattern, and this one is called Pat because that's the file name, Pat Ping, and say OK. And now when you pull your paint bucket here, that we see that at the top that we have two choices, three choices actually for our paint bucket, but two at the top here. One for foreground, which would be a solid color, and one for pattern. So when we go into pattern, then you can click that arrow next to it and have all the patterns that have been made in Photoshop on your specific computer. So the black and white pat was that one. If it's a seamless pattern, excuse me, you can go over here in Untitled and pour that in, and you should see a pattern come across your whole page without any seams in it or any squares in it. If it's not a seamless pattern, then you can come here and look, and let's try this one, for example. You can almost see the little square box around it. When you pour that out, then you can see that when the pattern is poured, there's going to be kind of a grid shape. And for our benday dots, we definitely do not want that. So that's what a seamless pattern is. And later we'll make our own seamless patterns, but they're very difficult to do. And I spent a long time trying to get benday dots that didn't have a seam pattern. All right, so the next thing you're going to want to be able to do is color each one of these however you want it to be colored for your piece. So if you come over here to the paint, which is at the bottom, and you want your paint bucket to actually be on paint now instead of pattern, because we're going to paint each one of these in here, that we are on the paint bucket, and we're going to change this back to foreground, which is the paint bucket. And now we can pour that paint bucket color into each one of those dots for our benday dot. If you want a color on the background besides white, you can come and choose a different color that you think that will go with your piece and that you might want back there. So I'm going to put bright pink, for example, or I can put a lighter blue or something like that, or I can make it a light tone color by going over here. So whatever you use that you think will look like an actual Lichtenstein who did these, and he made a spray stencil. Each of his bots were about 2 inches or so big, and each one was applied very, very carefully with paint. So there's that one, and it's different than my black and white. So each time I want to save it as a new color, I'll have to go to Edit and Define Pattern. And now this one I'm going to call Pink Ping, or Pink Pat. Pink Pat would be good. And then when I save it, click OK. If I look at my patterns now, change it back to pattern, then if I've saved them right, I should have all these different colors here. Then when you go to color your piece, you'll have a lot of different benday dot patterns to use.